Today's topic is a little bit controversial. I take opinion far different than most. When you read a typical business book or a trade journal, there's a lot of how-to articles floating around the internet about the importance of writing a business plan and the importance of having a business plan that you might take to your banker or that you might show an investor or that you'll follow to grow your business. I personally think business plans are a waste of time. I'm not a believer in a business plan. I'm involved in multiple companies, and I can honestly say that for the last several, I've not written a business plan whatsoever, and they're all successful. Now, does that mean I don't plan? Does that mean that I don't set strategy, or that we don't think through what we're going to do and we don't define goals and the mission critical items that need to be accomplished? Absolutely not. I firmly believe in goal setting, and I firmly believe in writing out exactly what you intend to accomplish and when you're going to accomplish it, who's going to do it. I believe in having a list of all the problems in your company that you're going to eliminate. So I firmly believe in planning and creating a list, but I don't believe in a business plan. What a typical business plan is in my mind, or what I see most people do, and maybe the arguments for business plans are for defining a document or creating something much different than what I see most people creating. But what most people do is they sit down and they say, I'd like to do this, I'd like to be this, I'm going to grow at this speed, and by year 2 I'm going to have this many accounts, and I'm going to have this type of equipment, we're going to be serving this marketplace, I'm going to have this many employees, we're going to make this much money and have this much profit, and in year 3 I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, for year 4, year 5, and so on. You define what you're going to do over the next 5 years. Well, the problem with business is it never works that way. It's never so mappable. It's really not possible in my mind to say, okay, this is what we're going to be in 5 years. What I think really happens when you start a company is you do start with an idea or a plan in mind, and you do think you're going to accomplish something, and you definitely need a plan, and I would call it a dream of where you want to be in 5 years. But something happens when you get into business, and maybe the first thing that you planned on doesn't go your way. Maybe the capital you expected to raise doesn't get raised. Maybe that first client you thought you were going to land doesn't actually ever materialize, or the client that you did land that you thought was going to be the basis of the next 5 years of massive financial growth fires you, or goes bankrupt, or goes out of business, and suddenly things change and you have to scramble, because at the end of the day, the only objective of business is to generate profit. Not to generate revenue, not to create a happy life for your employees, not to be a charitable entity. Again, all of that has potential, and all of it can be good, and I believe in all of it. But goal number 1 when you start your business is solely to make profit. Without it, there's no chance of survival. So going back to the business plan, you create this plan of sorts, and you're going to accomplish whatever it might be over the next few years, and something happens, and suddenly your profits are gone, or they're lower than they were, or you've entered a market that you had planned on, and that market you quickly find out isn't as good as you thought it might be. For example, you thought that you could go into a neighborhood and you could sell all this certain type of an account, and you realize that maybe the homeowners in that neighborhood don't make as much money as you thought, and they don't have the disposable income. Or maybe you went into a very high-end neighborhood and you realize that for you to truly be competitive, you need to offer certain services that you can't yet offer, and so that neighborhood's not yet for you. There's a whole number of reasons it might be the case, and you need to change your plan. And so I see business owners, individuals that want to start a business, they spend months on this business plan, and they tweak it, and they read, and they study, and they write, and they modify it, and they think about it, and all that's great. But in the meantime, they've done nothing to really move the ball forward and improve their company, nothing to get to the next level of getting started, nothing to actually create profit, or nothing to even test your ideas to see if they're even feasible. All you've done, if you're creating a business plan, is putting down some dreams on paper. Again, all good, but to spend months, as I see most people do, on something that really will change, and probably change in month number 1, when you do whatever you've got to do to become viable, and you'll do whatever you got to do to make it. meaning you'll change your whole strategy to go get profit in one area that you never thought you'd serve, or you thought you'd serve 4 years later if an opportunity presents itself. Then the entire business plan's out the window, and the 3 months you spent were wasted. You might as well have just got started. So my argument is, don't get too caught up in a business plan. Don't get too focused on it. Sit down, figure out what you want to do. And there are some very important questions to answer in the beginning. Are you going to be commercial? Are you going to be residential? What services are you going to offer? Are you going to focus on the reoccurring revenue model of maintenance, or are you going to go after the one-time sale of landscape? And if you go after landscape, what back-end product are you going to sell them to turn it into some form of reoccurring revenue? How are you going to market? How are you going to grow? There's all kinds of stuff you absolutely must think through, and you need to do it as you're getting started. My contention is, don't spend months trying to figure out a business plan. It's going to change. But do spend the time and the hard thinking and sit down and figure out where you want to go, and then just start. Just do something. Even if it's go out and you get one account. Even if it's you go out and you register your business with the county and you're a legal entity. Maybe you're not an LLC or an S Corp or a Corp, but you're at least a registered entity. Maybe you go register a domain name and you start working on your business name. But what are the steps that you can take now to move yourself forward versus just putting it all down on paper versus spending 3 or 4 months? I've seen guys spend a year. I know people that will talk about it probably till the day they die of how they want to start a business, and they're working on the business plan. It's just an argument, or argument's the wrong word. It's just an opportunity to procrastinate. That's all it is. And I think a lot of times it comes from fear. We're all a little worried about what we're about to embark on, if it's going to be successful, if it'll make it or if it'll fail. And so human nature is, I believe, we want to procrastinate. And I think the business plan gives a lot of people an opportunity to procrastinate. Go out and find out if you're going to be a success. And you will be. But go out and find out now, and find out what it is that you thought you should do that maybe wasn't quite right. Go ahead and get out there and fail. Go ahead and make the mistake. You thought you were going to serve a neighborhood, and you've now identified, because you went out and obtained 1 or 2 clients in that area, that's not really where you want to be. Figure that out now. Don't spend 3 months on the business plan, figure it out later, and then have to start all over. Go out and try and test everything you can today and tomorrow and next week. And as you do that, and as you make mistakes, and as you get out there and you're in the middle of it, maybe you're the guy out mowing the yard, maybe you're the guy out knocking on doors, maybe you're putting together your first door hanger campaign, whatever it is, as you do it, it's all going to become clear. You're going to learn things that you'll never learn by sitting behind a computer typing and dreaming. You'll never learn any of that stuff till you get out there and you make the mistakes and you have some successes. Then you're going to figure out what your real opportunity is. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Forget the business plan. Keep it something simple. There was a book here recently, and I didn't read it, but it's something about the back of the napkin. I might be incorrect, but I think the premise of it is simply you need to just have a very simple plan and get started. And I may be completely wrong on the premise. I just read the back of it in a bookstore. But I like that thinking. You don't need a 50-page document defining what you're going to do over the next 5 years. You need a very simple stated mission of, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, this is step 1. Go out and do step 1 and come back, figure out what step 2 is, and go do step 2, and just do it and move fast. All the best companies are made with quick decisions, and not, again, I want to clarify, not a lack of thought, but quick, decisive decisions. And they implement, and they implement, and they do, and they test, and they make mistakes, and they fail, and they achieve success, and they get rid of the things that failed, and they go after the areas that were successful, and they do more of the success and less of the failure. And before you know it, you'll have created a business, and you did it all without a business plan. I can honestly say that our most successful businesses were created probably without business plans, because we just got in there and did it, and we figured it out. And when I have planned, and I do plan every year, I spend a lot of time planning what we're going to do for the next year and what we're not going to do and what we're going to eliminate, what we're going to fix. We really reflect on the previous year, figure out what our clients didn't like, what did we do wrong, what's costing us too much money, what could be optimized, what could be improved, what new markets can we go into. We spend a lot of time thinking about strategy. and then we break down each item that we decide to focus on for the coming year. We break it into definable steps, we divvy them out, and we go after it, and we just implement. That is our roadmap, and we do it year by year, and I'm definitely thinking about what's coming in the next 5 or 10 years, absolutely. But when you're getting started, just get out there and get it done. I think you'll find that you'll have far more success.